Khyree Jackson. His rise felt like momentum. In 2018, he was working a deli counter to keep the lights on. By 2023, he was locking down receivers at Oregon and hearing his name climb draft boards. Minnesota called in the fourth round, number 108 overall, and on May 29, 2024, the rookie deal was signed. A new life, finally on paper. Then came July 6, 2024, 3:14 a.m. in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. Khyree was in the front passenger seat of a Dodge Charger driven by his former high school teammate, Isaiah Hazel. Another former teammate, Anthony Litton Jr., rode in the back. Investigators say a silver Infiniti, changing lanes at high speed, hit their car. The Charger left the road and struck tree stumps. Hazel and Jackson died at the scene. Litton died at the hospital. Authorities later said alcohol may have been a contributing factor. He was only 24, weeks before his first training camp, before a single preseason snap, before an NFL Sunday. His rookie year was gone. The Vikings turned shock into tribute. Coaches and players attended his late July funeral. Throughout the season, KJ decals marked every helmet. Staff wore pins. His number 31 and the locker that should have held his first NFL playbook remained unused. The organization supported his family, including funeral assistance and paying the remainder of his signing bonus to his estate. Brandon Burlsworth. He was the walk-on with the thick black frames and a bigger motor than anyone expected. The Arkansas kid who went from unrecruited to first-team All-American. In April 1999, the Indianapolis Colts called his name, 63rd overall. 11 days later, Brandon Burlsworth was gone. On April 28, 1999, after a workout in Fayetteville, Brandon started the drive home to Harrison along US 412 near Alpena. A state police report said his car drifted left of center, clipped the left front of a tractor-trailer, returned to his lane, then crossed over again and struck a second truck head-on. He was 22, and he died at the scene. Inside the Colts building, coaches had already circled him as a plug-and-play guard. His classroom work and minicamp reps turned heads. Even though he never played a down, the franchise made sure his name stayed on the field. Week 1 of the 1999 season, the team honored him at halftime and wore a special BB decal on their helmets the rest of the year. Back in Fayetteville, Arkansas retired number 77, one of the program's rarest honors. His family built the Brandon Burlsworth Foundation, including Eyes of a Champion, which provides free eye exams and glasses for kids who might otherwise go without. His example became an award. Beginning in 2010, the Burlsworth Trophy goes each year to the best FBS player who started as a walk-on. And in 2016, his story reached theaters in Greater, passing his standard to a new generation. Up next is the rookie whose story ended in the locker room, Thomas Herrion. He walked off the field proud, a rookie guard fighting for a roster spot. Moments earlier in Denver, he helped power a 14-play, 91-yard drive that ended in a touchdown with 2 seconds left. The kind of series that keeps a dream alive. On August 20th, 2005, preseason 49ers versus Broncos. The locker room quiets, helmets click into stalls, a team prayer ends, and Thomas Herrion collapses. Staff rush in, teammates freeze, then clear space. He's transported to St. Anthony Central Hospital in Denver. There, he was pronounced dead. He was only 23. To most fans, rookies are names on a depth chart. To Herrion, this was everything. Hours of conditioning, film, and hope condensed into a handful of August snaps. A University of Utah alum, he had taken the long road to this chance in San Francisco red and gold. Every rep said, "I belong." Weeks later, the coroner's report brings clarity: ischemic heart disease, a significant blockage in the right coronary artery. His heart, slightly enlarged, not heat, not altitude, a hidden condition that can strike without warning. His final game ended with a statement drive. His final minutes were spent among teammates, just after a prayer. Thomas Herrion's NFL career spanned moments, not seasons. Yet in those moments, he showed the fight every rookie carries, the belief that the next snap could change everything. Rest in peace, Thomas Herrion. Your dream mattered. Your life mattered. By the way, I'm going to be posting a lot more interesting videos on the channel. I'll greatly appreciate it if you could show support by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. Thank you. Trey Walker. He made it to Sundays, and he was weeks away from proving he belonged. Trey Walker's path from Texas Southern to Baltimore felt like the start of something big, until one night changed everything. In 2015, the Ravens drafted him in the 4th round, 136th overall. At 6'2" with rare length for a cornerback, He was a quiet worker who soaked up coaching and stayed late after practice. As a rookie, he appeared in 8 games, mostly on special teams. The stat sheet showed 1 tackle. The film showed a raw defender learning fast and earning trust for a larger role in year 2. Coaches noticed the small things. Head coach John Harbaugh recalled that Walker often stood beside him during the national anthem, and they would share a hug before kickoff. It was simple, respectful, and it said plenty about the young man trying to grow into his place. On March 17, 2016, back home in Liberty City, Miami, daylight slipped toward evening. Walker rode a Honda dirt bike west on Northwest 75th Street. At about 7:50 p.m., he collided with a Ford Escape at Northwest 21st Avenue. Police later noted the bike had no headlights, he wore dark clothing, and he was not wearing a helmet. The driver stayed at the scene. Walker was rushed to the Ryder Trauma Center at Jackson Memorial Hospital. By the next day, March 18th, the Ravens lost a teammate, and a family lost a 23-year-old son. Baltimore mourned at the intersection and inside the facility. Teammates spoke about his smile, his manners, and his effort. The plan for a bigger second season never came. Coming up, a tragedy that shook the locker room to its core. Jerry Brown Jr. was a 25-year-old rookie linebacker on the Dallas Cowboys practice squad, fighting for a permanent place in the league. He and defensive lineman Josh Brent were close friends and former teammates at the University of Illinois. In the early hours of December 8, 2012, at about 2:21 a.m. in Irving, Texas, Brent drove a 2007 Mercedes with Brown in the passenger seat. Police reported the car hit a curb and flipped. Witnesses saw Brent pull Brown from the vehicle, which had caught fire. Documents later indicated Brent had been driving at a very high speed. Brown was taken to a hospital and pronounced dead. The next day, December 9, 2012, the Cowboys learned the news en route to Cincinnati. Before kickoff, there was a moment of silence for Brown, and Dallas played through heavy emotions in an eventual win over the Bengals. Brent was arrested and charged with intoxication manslaughter on the day of the crash. A Dallas County jury convicted him on January 22, 2014. He was sentenced on January 24, 2014 to 180 days in jail and 10 years probation. An autopsy later found that Brown himself was not legally intoxicated. His blood alcohol content measured below Texas's 0.08 limit. Investigators also noted that neither man was wearing a seatbelt. Through the grief, Brown's mother, Stacey Jackson, publicly forgave Brent and asked the Cowboys to support him, a request the team honored in the months ahead. Leon Bender. He was supposed to be Oakland's next cornerstone on the defensive line. 6'5", 300 pounds, quick hands, relentless motor. In April 1998, the Raiders made Washington State star Leon Bender the 31st overall pick. On May 12, 1998, he signed a 5-year, $3.45 million deal with a $1.2 million bonus. He returned to Georgia to train for minicamp, the NFL finally within reach. On May 30, 1998, the countdown ended. Bender, at the age of 22, was found unresponsive in the bathroom at the Marietta home of agent associate Terry Bolar. Police reported no signs of foul play. Days later, the Cobb County medical examiner ruled the cause of death: seizure disorder. Bender had lived with epilepsy since childhood. It never stopped him at Washington State. It didn't stop the Raiders from betting on his work ethic and burst. But on a quiet Saturday, it stopped everything. Teammates remembered the smile. Coaches remembered the get-off that ruined plays before they started. A young family, his wife, Liza, and their daughter, remembered a husband and father whose first NFL snap never came. Leon Bender's career existed in paperwork and promise, not in games. His story still carries weight. Talent recognized, opportunity earned, a life cut short just weeks after the draft. Ernie Davis. He was the fastest promise in football, a Syracuse hero, 1961 Heisman Trophy winner, the first black player to claim the award and the face of where the sport was heading. In 1962, Washington made him the #1 overall pick, only to trade his rights to the Cleveland Browns. A dream forms overnight. Davis in the same backfield lineage as Jim Brown. Cleveland welcomed him like a franchise cornerstone. The future felt close. During routine medical exams that year, the news lands like a hit you don't see coming: leukemia. He was only 22. Treatments offered flickers of hope. Davis stayed near the team, suited up for photos, signed for fans, and told friends he'll return. But the field stayed just out of reach. He never played an NFL snap. His presence still shifts the league. That trade puts Bobby Mitchell in Washington, a breakthrough star who helped open doors on a team long resistant to change. Davis's impact stretched beyond box scores into who gets to wear the jersey and where the game decides to go next. On May 18, 1963 in Cleveland, Ernie Davis died at 23. The Browns retire number 45, the number he wore in practice. Teammates talk about courage. Coaches talk about character. Fans remember the grace he embodied. His NFL stat line will read 0 games forever, but the measure of his career isn't found in yards or carries. It's in the standard he set, the barriers he helped move, and the hope he left behind. Proof that a life can change a league even when the clock never starts. Coming next is the promising career that was gone in the blink of an eye. Fred Washington, second-round pick for the Chicago Bears in 1990, earned his spot the hard way. 4 years at TCU team captain. In Chicago, he rotated through the line, fought for snaps on Sundays, and kept stacking quiet, professional work. On December 21, 1990, in Lake Forest, Illinois. In the early morning hours, Washington's car struck a curb, crossed the roadway, and hit a tree. He died at the scene. A passenger, 22-year-old Petra Stoll, was also killed. In the weeks that followed, officials said his blood alcohol level was above the legal limit, an added weight on a loss that already felt unbearable inside Halas Hall. Teammates talked about his upside. The staff praised his attitude. Mike Ditka called him a coach's dream, the kind of rookie who listens, learns, and makes the room better. On paper, his stat line was simple: 11 games played. In the building, the expectation was bigger, a young defensive tackle growing into a long NFL career. That future ended 3 days before Christmas. Fred Washington's story is brief, but it carries a lesson every player understands. Potential isn't guaranteed. A season can turn in a moment. A team can lose more than a teammate. It can lose a person it believed in. For fans who remember 1990, his name is a quiet marker of what might have been. Promise, interrupted, but not forgotten. Ralph Norwood. He was 23, a rookie with Atlanta, and the future felt bigger than the stadium lights. In the spring, the Falcons spent the 38th pick on LSU tackle Ralph Norwood. Raw strength, quiet work ethic, and a locker room that believed he'd grow into a cornerstone. By November, he'd already stepped onto NFL fields. 11 games, 1 start, momentum building. Then came Friday, November 24th, 1989. Before dawn in Gwinnett County, on Satellite Boulevard, Norwood's car drifted across the center line, slid down an embankment, and struck a tree. First responders could do nothing. Toxicology would later show no drugs or alcohol. Investigators pointed to fatigue. He may have fallen asleep at the wheel. In one silent moment, a promising career ended, and a team's season took on a weight you can't see on a depth chart. Teammates remembered a soft-spoken pro in the making. Long meetings, long practices, the kind of focus line coaches trust. His name never had time to stack up stats, but it carried a presence in the room. And the grief didn't stop there. Less than a month later, the Falcons lost tight end Brad Beckman in another car accident, a second funeral for a team already hurting. Ralph Norwood's story is not about records. It's about potential, gone too soon. David Overstreet. Miami waited 2 years for their 1981 first-rounder to take the field. In 1983, David Overstreet finally did, and the flashes were real. He grew up in Big Sandy, Texas, and cut his teeth in Oklahoma's Wishbone, speed to the edge, fearless through traffic. Drafted 13th overall by the Dolphins in 1981, a contract dispute sent him north to Montreal. 2 seasons later, he came back to Miami hungry, polished, ready. As a rookie in 1983, he ran with purpose. 14 games, 85 carries, 392 yards, 4.6 a carry, and a touchdown. Coaches noticed how quickly he hit the crease. Teammates talked about the energy he brought to the room. Year 2 felt like a runway. On June 24, 1984, on Texas State Highway 155 near Winona, his car left the road and struck gasoline pumps at a rural station. The crash ignited a fire. David Overstreet was 25. The Dolphins carried him into the fall. A black 20 decal lived on their helmets throughout the 1984 season, a quiet badge on a team that pushed all the way to the Super Bowl. His wife, Johnny, and a 13-month-old son, David Jr., carried a different kind of season, one the league never sees. Some careers are measured in totals. His is measured in moments. The cutback that opened daylight. The burst that silenced a crowd. The promise of a second year that never came. David Overstreet, remembered for the yards he gained and the ones he never had the chance to take. Up next is the heartbreaking loss that cut short a career before it began. Shane Khyree grew up in Cincinnati and fought his way to the NFL. A standout at Miami, he became a second-round pick of the Indianapolis Colts in 1991. As a rookie defensive end, he saw the field in 9 games and recorded a sack, glimpses of a powerful frame, and a fast first step the Colts hoped to build on. Back home after the season, the plan was simple: reset, train, and return stronger. Instead, just after midnight on Sunday, May 3, 1992, outside a nightclub in the Roselawn neighborhood, his car couldn't leave the lot. Another vehicle blocked the exit. Tempers flared. A teenager stepped to Khyree's driver's side window and fired a single round. Khyree was only 24. He fought for hours, but by the early morning of Monday, May 4, 1992, he was gone. Police moved quickly. The shooter, Artis Anderson, just 15 years old, was arrested, later convicted of murder, and that October received at least 18 years in prison, the maximum under Ohio law at the time. What lingers isn't a highlight or a stat line. It's the ordinariness of the moment that ended everything. A parking lot, a blocked path, seconds that erased years of work and a city's pride in one of its own. Randy Frisch. He was only 23. A defensive tackle out of Missouri, 7th-round pick, 186th overall by the Pittsburgh Steelers in 1977. Camp meant long days at St. Vincent College in Latrobe and a shot to turn a roster number into a job. On August 6, 1977, the preseason opener was against the Buffalo Bills at Three Rivers Stadium. Frisch suited up, did the work, and headed out after the game with fellow rookie David Griniker. They were driving east toward camp on Route 30 near Irwin. A 3-vehicle collision shattered the night. Frisch was killed. Griniker was seriously hurt. The car had been loaned to the rookies by quarterback Cliff Stout, a small, ordinary favor that became an unforgettable detail. Back at camp, meetings went on, but one chair stayed empty. No regular season snap, no box score, just a life cut short between a first camp and the season that never came. Frisch wasn't a headline name. He didn't have a rookie card that everyone chased. He carried the same hope every late-round pick brings to August: stack good reps, earn a number, make Sunday real. That hope ended on a Pennsylvania highway the night of August 6th. Remember the name: Randy Frisch, Missouri to Pittsburgh, 1977. A Steelers rookie whose story reminds us that some losses never appear on a stat sheet, yet stay with a team forever. Stone Johnson. He wasn't just fast, he was world-class. A Grambling state sprinter, 5th in the 200 meters at the 1960 Rome Olympics. In the 1960 U.S. trials, he'd even matched the 20.5 world record. By 1963, the brand-new Kansas City Chiefs saw that speed and drafted him, 14th round, to be a running back and return threat. Number 33, one more preseason game to lock his spot. In Wichita, Kansas, late August 1963, Chiefs versus Houston Oilers. The final exhibition, Johnson mishandles the first kickoff. On the next, he sprints ahead as a blocker, head down at contact near the 18. Whistle. Silence. He doesn't get up. Abner Haynes rushes over. Johnson whispers, "I can't move my legs. My career's over." I was just getting started. He was stretchered off, rushed to surgery before the third quarter was through. Doctors find a fractured 5th cervical vertebra and severe spinal cord damage. Hands, arms, legs, no movement. He can nod, he can blink, and he can ask about teammates on the phone when the coach calls. The owner flew his parents in. The locker room went quiet. 10 days pass. Then, on September 8, 1963, Stone Johnson was 23 years old when he died in a Wichita hospital. He never played a regular season snap. Kansas City doesn't forget. The franchise retired number 33 forever because impact isn't only measured in games played, it's measured in the weight of a moment that changes a team's history. Howard Glenn. On October 9, 1960, Week 5 of the brand new AFL, the New York Titans walked into Houston's Jeppesen Stadium to face the Oilers, and a 26-year-old rookie guard named Howard Glenn was fighting for every snap. He wore number 66, a grinder, a teammate's teammate, carving a lane in a league still proving it belongs. Early in the game, Glenn took a hit. It looked routine in real time. One more collision in a day full of them. But something was wrong. He came off the field. The adrenaline faded. By nightfall, the Titans have lost more than a game. The autopsy would say accidental, A broken neck? Not a heart issue, not a brain bleed, just the cruel math of impact and angle, the kind of injury linemen train to avoid and still can't always escape. Glenn's name never topped the headlines. He didn't get a victory lap. Yet his loss became a terrible first. The only player in the AFL to die from injuries sustained in a regular season game. A life measured in quiet blocks and protection calls, ending on a Sunday the sport will never forget. Remember the date, October 9th, 1960. Remember the setting, Yepesen Stadium, Houston. And remember the lesson baked into every huddle since. Beneath the bands and bright lights, football asks for everything. On that day, Howard Glenn gave it. Did I miss any names? Please mention them in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, I'm going to be posting a lot more interesting videos on the channel. I'd greatly appreciate it if you could like and subscribe. Thank you very much.